So I'll start. On my right hand side, we have our heated mobile food servery. To the side of that, we have our mobile plate warmer. We have our regeneration oven, 10-grid regeneration oven. And then the highlight of this morning's presentation, we have our meal delivery system right over here. So I'm going to start straight away with our servery, and I'll bring it forward to the center of the floor in order for you to see it from all different angles. As I'm going along, I'll pass through the benefits and the features of the specific unit. So again, this is on the center area of my kitchen. I've moved a few tables around, so there's not too much space, but as you can see, it's extremely easy to maneuver the unit around. All these devices today, which we'll show you, are easy to move. So you can take them from the area where they are in the kitchen, and you can move it in a lift to the different levels of your building where you need to be, or and to another area where the food will be served safely. So this particular unit, the Servery, I'll bring it to the front. It has a full sneeze screen to the front of it. We also have various options, of course, of this glass, which is 5mm thickened glass. You can have it half. You can also have no glass at all. So with the half format, it allows you to still securely pass through from the front to the back, where the people will be gathering, your customers. Or you can have the option of removing the glass completely and have an open gantry service style. Again, during these times, it's very, very important to not only protect the staff, your customers, but also the food. So there's also the option of having the sneeze screen on the side completely covered as well. So the food is completely secured from where it is being served. The unit has a few optional extras as well. So in front, we have an easy to operate tray slide, which clips into place. And again, this is great for when you're busy with service, that when the customers come up and they go to the plate dispenser on the side, take the plate, the server will take the food, dish it up for them, pass it to the customer, and they can slide along accordingly on the tray slide in front. All the units that I will show you today are operated via 13-amp plug. Again, this particular unit, 13-amp plug and cord gets supplied as standard, and it's on a bit of a spring coil loaded cable. Again, you can secure it nicely around the pillar over here when it's in transit. And again, when it's plugged in, you can start operating the unit, which I'll do straight away. Excuse me for 1 second. Okay. So we have a heat source from 3 areas. We have a heat source from the 2 fan-assisted oven underneath, which can bring the temperature up to 100 degrees. So it's 70 to 100 degrees. It's 1x1 gastro compatible, and all the grids inside are removable for easy access and easy cleaning. The doors are on sliders. These can be removed as well, lifted out easily if you need to clean the doors on the back and the inside, and also access the heating up chamber more efficiently. They're all individually controlled via your LED switches. So your gantry lights are coming on with your LED heating up facility. You can then utilize your temperature controller over here for your hot cupboard, and then also controlled in increments from 1 to 6 is your glass top. So this is available in 3 different models. Again, this is the biggest model that we have. Various items can be placed on top here. Ideally, you can use your gastro trays, your stainless steel commonly used gastro trays. You can also use ceramic dishes and so forth. Okay. So that's our unit, and I'll proceed to the next one.
Shaune,
Kevin,
can I just ask
any questions coming in at this stage?
Shaune, can I just ask, is the top, is that individually heated per zone there, as you've got 3 zones, or is it just continuously heated?
Yes, they are individually controlled. So the gantry on the top with your halogen bulbs, they are on a standard setting, but your heating chamber underneath is controllable in increments from 70 degrees to 100 degrees. And then your glass surface top, which will give more heat coming from the bottom as well when you're busy serving, to maintain it at that great serving temperature that's above 63 degrees. You can then control it from setting 1 to 6. So during all your service time, you're guaranteed that not only are the food being kept hot in here, but also during the service, and you're busy presenting the food accordingly.
Okay, good. And the chamber, is it just one big chamber there underneath?
Underneath, we have two shelves, Kevin, which you can place on top. So you can either use any of them. And again, as I said before, it's gastro-compatible portrait load. So once your tray is up, you can use the full surface of both the racks underneath.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
It's one single chamber, Kevin. So it's not divided into two different ovens.
Okay, thanks for good stuff.
Okay. So I'll just move this away and I'll bring our plate dispenser out. And again, any questions that you might have, just jot them down for now. We'll get them at the end. All right. One thing I just forgot to mention is all these units come with brakes supplied on the casters as standard, so you can secure them wherever you're going to serve very, very securely and safely. And that applies as well for the plate server, for the plate dispenser. So this is a 60 plate mobile heated plate dispenser. We also do that in a double well 120 plate. Both of these units are, again, as you can see, extremely easy to operate and maneuver. So very easy for somebody to transport it from one area to the next or where it's needed to be used. Okay. Supplied as standard again, the unit comes with your brakes on your casters, and also to the side of the unit we have bumpers. So the rubber bumpers protect not only the unit and your crockery inside from starting for a severe shock, but also those areas where it might come into contact with as you're transporting the unit. A good grabbing handle as well, very robust and strong, which makes it even so much more easier to operate. Again, 13 amp plug as standard comes supplied with a 2.5 meter cable, which is just unwind from the support brackets where they are, and this can get plugged into your 13 amp supply. From that moment on, you can also then set your temperature to where you want it to be. So it's on a low to a high setting. So if you have customers that's vulnerable, like your elderly customers or patients, for instance, your plates don't have to be extremely hot. But again, if you are serving a banquet of some form or a function, then again, you want the temperature of the plates to be hotter to maintain the food temperature for the service style, then you can increment the temperature. I would say allow at least 1 hour for the plates once it's in to heat up. Although the unit will heat up very, very fast, you need to ensure that your plates come to temperature as well. And they can take up to about an hour. Okay. Any questions coming through so far, Kevin?
Okay. Is the hot cupboard available as a bain-marie also? That's from John Hale.
Okay. We do have bain-marie options available, but not on the food survey, no.
Okay. Also, what is the heating up time and to what temperature on the plate warmer, Shaune?
On the plate warmer, the heating up, it starts immediately, Kevin. So you obviously will go from ambient temperature. It will start to climb to where it's going to go to roughly about over 70 degrees. So it's from ambient to 70. This can take about anything from about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on. If you preload your unit already with all the plates, like ideally it should be done, it will take for the plates to heat up then a little bit longer than for the unit to heat up. I always allow that when I'm stacking any plate warmer up, at least an hour for the plates to reach adequate temperature.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good stuff. There's the questions coming from Jason Wade. Is there any option for different finishes or just stainless steel? At this stage, Jason, I would say stainless steel, but you know, we can always look at anything for future. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, Kevin. There are options available, of course, and we can discuss those. Yes.
Yeah. I've got one in from Brendan Doyle. What sizes are available for the Servery?
We've got 3 sizes available for the Servery. We've got a smaller one, which is comparable to a single gastronome size, slightly almost square. Then we have a 2-zone, another 2-zone, a 2 gastro, and a 3. 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I mean 2, 3, 4, not single, Kevin.
Okay.
Okay. So this particular one is the one right in the middle. So we have one slightly smaller, and then we have one slightly bigger. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So our next unit that we'll cover this morning is the Regeneration Oven. So I'm just going to bring it forward for us, and I'll plug that in as well. So again, for a device this size and with this capability, the unit is very easy to maneuver. It's on 4 casts again, which gets supplied as standard. And all 4 of those wheels are brake enabled, so you can really fit it securely where it's supposed to be going. So again, transporting in a lift, you want to make sure it's stable, put in your brakes on all sides, and again, loading it into a van, for instance, if you're taking it externally, but internally in the building, those brakes will really help as well. The unit is also supplied on a stand with a single shelf on the bottom, and the stand is actually bolted to the oven. So the oven is not going to go anywhere. It's a unit on its own, very, very stable and robust. Okay, so I'll just get the angle right of this. Yep. So I'll put my brakes on. And then I'll plug it in for us. So the unit is a 16 amp unit, and it works off two 13 amp plugs. You also have the option of having that in single phase and also 3-phase units that you can have available. Okay. Okay. So the front of the unit, as you can see, you have your control panel with your normal temperature setting and your timer, and these are all in digital LED format. So I'll call on my unit. It's already telling me there's power coming to it, and then the temperature will set to where you want it to be at. So at the moment, my unit's at ambient, and my timer is on infinite. So I'll open the unit up. I've got food items which I placed in there this morning, which of course I want to heat up to the desired temperature. Ideally, you should really preheat your oven before the time, as would be in a normal situation. But just for presentation, I just wanted to show you the various different styles of food containers you can place inside. So from your foil containers to your ceramic dishes to your convenience dishes, which is like a heat-resistant plastic for convenient grab-and-go meals. You can do gastro trays up to 65 millimeter that goes directly onto the shelf, or you can use the shallower gastronom tray, which can also fit on top of the rack, leaving enough space on top for hot air to come through and regenerating the food accordingly as what you wish it to the right temperature of 75 degrees and above. The unit is specifically designed and developed for regeneration of foods, and these can be from frozen, from chilled, or you can do fresh products in there as well. Okay, from frozen, I've done various tests on frozen and chilled, and I found that the heating up times of the unit and also the cooking times of the products are very, very sufficient, and it's in line with what we expect to get from a regeneration oven, guaranteeing that from shelf number 1 to shelf number 10, that you're going to have an even heating up spread across the whole oven. Okay. So by pressing the scroller wheel, I will select my temperature where I want to go. The temperature range is brilliant. It's from 70 degrees to 200 degrees. So even after cooking, if you want to keep your food nice and warm, you can set it to such a low temperature for that hot holding, which will allow your food not to dry out and spoil. And again, for your timer in the preheating cycle, you can do the preheating as well. But once your units reach the time you want, you can do the timer anything up to 330 minutes. Okay, so normally when it comes with the regeneration of food, there's a recipe that you already have. So you know that more or less your products are going to take 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes. You'll set it accordingly. And once it reaches the time, a buzzer will go off and it will alert you that your food is ready, which at that stage then it should probe and make sure it's the correct temperature, and then it's ready for transportation and serving elsewhere. Okay. So that is the Regen oven. Got a full door handle in front, which makes it ideal. So you don't have no guessing work involved. You can either open it with two hands or a single hand. Great construction. Inside is high polished stainless steel, so it makes the unit very, very easy to clean, including the beveled corners. It's got a rope seal around the door to make sure that all the heat gets trapped inside, so there's no heat escaping outside. All the parts are, of course, removable. And again, the oven racks are supplied as standard. So these can be removed, so you have full access to the chamber inside to allow for sanitizing and cleaning. As we know, during this times, it's very important to make sure food safety. So again, you can really, really get in there and do some robust sanitizing after every service. The door is also on a magnet, which will make sure it stays shut, which is great. It has in addition, a micro switch. And the micro switch, which you probably cannot pick up on the mic at the moment, but once the unit is on, you shut the door, the fan will kick in, and it will start the process of regeneration. I think you probably can hear that, hopefully. And once the door goes open, it disengages the fan. And the reason for that is quite a lot. You can also then ensure that no heat will be forced out of your oven from the fans blowing from the back, but also then again, helping you to maintain the temperature of your food inside. And again, energy saving. The fan, of course, takes energy. Door shut, your fan kicks in, and the process starts all over again. The timer will recognize that you open the door and it will stop. So if your door has been open for a minute, your timer will then restart again exactly where you left off when you opened the door. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of more things I can tell you about the unit. There's so many more exciting factors, but I'll let it open to questions now, Kevin.
Shaune, can I just ask, we've had from Anthony Whiteley, once at regen temperature, will it hold at temperature, or does the product need to be used straight away?
If you regenerated your food item to a temperature of say 150 degrees, and your core temperature of your product has reached 75 degrees, if you leave the oven on and the food is sitting at 150, it's going to start to overcook because your temperature will go from 75 above. What you can do then is set your temperature and bring it lower down and have it in a holding temperature. So holding temperatures are normally between 78 degrees and about just under 100. If I'll put it just under 100, if it's a full one, and that should maintain the core temperature of your product above 63 degrees for serving. I would recommend taking it out immediately and then putting it in a hot holding facility if you want to continue to use the oven in a cooking process.
Okay. And if you've got that door open, will the timer carry on counting down, or does it stop? What does happen with the timer?
No, the timer will stop, Kevin. So if you're in a cooking process, on the timer, once you open the door, the timer will stop. If you close the door, the timer will re-engage again, and the process will start.
Okay.
Restart.
And also with the unit, does it come fixed on the stand? Is that the way it's transported?
Yes, Kevin, they are. Yeah.
Okay.
And it is very secure. As you saw when I moved it in, you know, the unit is very, very maneuverable. And okay, so I need to put that off.
I will just say to all, actually, regarding all the questions, they will all be individually answered if we don't get to ask any of these questions during the presentation. But then you will sort of receive a direct reply via email.
So the highlight of this morning is our meal delivery system, our Vario-Therm meal delivery system, which I'll bring to the front, and I'll turn it around first before I switch it on. And then again, I'll cover all the benefits and features applicable to this specific unit. Okay. Okay. So as you can see again, and I want to emphasize it again, is that the kitchen space is quite limited, and this is a big device. It's compact, but yet still big, and it's so easy to maneuver it and spin it around in the kitchen on the spot where I am. So the wheels have been offset. So one is slightly off the middle towards the side of the unit, and the next set of wheels are to the side of the unit. They're all on brakes again, but that allows you to make sure that the unit can really, really get into those tight corners and around tight bends where you need to transport the unit at. Okay, so I'll bring it around first this side, and I'll go through the front, and I'll cover the oven and the controller towards the end. So we have a Perspex 5mm Perspex sneeze guard in front, easy to clean, easy to maintain. And this also shows some illumination where the unit's on. And this illumination will tell you in what stage the unit is at that moment. So when you put it on, the illumination will be a green color, but ideally when the unit's preheating, it will be an amber color. And then when it's cooking, it will go to, you know, a purpley color and show you that the unit's in that stage of cooking. So no matter where you're standing, you always know the color, what stage the unit is at. Okay, this particular unit as an extra, we have a tray in front as well where you can place your condiments. So here you can have again your knives, your forks, your spoons, your napkins, and ideal. And it's easy to extend and easy to retract again to store away safely for the unit then to be moved into the various areas where you want to go and store it without hampering the space through the doors or getting damaged. Okay. The unit is also on stainless steel and aluminium. So the frame and the chassis is stainless steel, and we have aluminium panels to the bottom front and to the sides. Available across 4 models. There are accessories, optional extra accessories we can attach to the unit. All of the units are IoT enabled, comes as standard. to the side. For instance, we have a little bag, so it's on a bracket, and it's on a little stand over here. So again, once your food waste after service can go in there, and that can keep neat and tidy. The bag can then be tied, and that can go to the refuge. And again, it's nice and clean service and very, very efficient. We turn that into position. The grab handles have all got an antimicrobial coating in it, so that's good for food safety and hygiene. As I'm turning the unit around, you can also see from the serving area of the unit, there's an extended area to the top of the gantry, which is ideal if you are placing your condiments or your little accessories that you're busy using during service can then be safely stored on top. Or if you have an item that is maybe later that can be in use, you can then put it safely on the top of it. You have a glass heated surface, which is again individually controlled, which helps for keeping your food hot during the service, with a gantry light as well, supporting that for the service process. This unit, we have a fridge on the left-hand side, which is a 4-shelf fridge, and it's indicated with a blue door seal, so it's easily identifiable. And on the right-hand side, we have the oven. So the oven is an 8-shelf oven, the fridge is portrait load, and the oven is then landscape load. All the shelves are removable, and again, for easy access to let you clean and sanitize the unit after service, which again is so, so important. As what you saw with our play dispenser, the unit is completely surrounded with a rubber bumper. So important again for transportation, so they do not damage the unit, but also not the areas where you might be in contact with during the transportation of the device from one area to the next. Okay, so while I'm plugging it in, Kevin, do you have any questions at this stage?
How long is the Hassap data stored for?
The Hassap data can be stored for a long time, Kevin. There's no specific time exactly how long. My recommendation would be to download the Hassap data onto a USB stick every 3 months. It all depends on how often you use the unit and how often you use the probe and record all the data, which will affect the storage. But the storage is a lot. I wouldn't say it's going to run out after 3 months, but it's good practice to ensure that you are downloading it and then back up that USB to your desktop, to your designated food safety and compliance system that you have. Alternatively, once IoT connected, you can have that information then stored on your specific dashboard for those purposes. And that's what puts this unit into the next bracket, especially with IoT connectivity.
Okay. I have a question in from Amanda McQueen. Are the cupboards gastro-sized?
Yes, it's gastro-compatible 1x1. So again, you can get your 1x1 gastro tray, 65mm, 40mm, and they slide easily onto the trays. You can again do it onto the hanger directly, or you can do it on the shelves.
Okay.
I'll just place the brakes on. Okay, you probably cannot see it very, very clearly on the camera, but as you can see, there's a bit of a green illumination here, which says to you that the unit is now in standby mode. A great feature of our devices is that both the fridge and the oven work independently, simultaneously. So whether your oven is running at 250 degrees, your fridge will still optimally perform at the temperature and at the rate it should be. They won't affect each other, which is great. The oven unit has got 3 fans, which due to the digital controllability of our screen we have here and all this technology and software behind it, we are then able to manipulate the cooking almost across 3 zones in incremental temperature from your low to the highest from bottom to top. And this can be achieved by shelf dividers, ensuring that that fan will cover those zones efficiently, but also ensuring, robust heating all around the chamber and adequately done so. Okay, so again, I'll open. All right. So what I'll do is I'll get to the screen and I'll run through a few of the features on this fantastic controller over there. Thank you for my colleague for bringing the camera closer. Okay. All right. So I hope you all can see. I'm going to get the camera a bit closer. Okay. Thank you. So over here we have a 7-inch True Touch high definition color screen, which shows quite soft tones for the coloring. It's very, very easy to read, very easy to understand. It's extremely visible, and the controllability is as simple or as complicated as what you as a user would want it. You can cook manually, which is great and fantastic, but also there's a programmability part of it. So if you're going into a service and you want to designate by one-touch cooking, for instance, going to a program for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for instance, or if you have a specific setting for the food cooking and the regeneration for your for a lunch service or a breakfast service or dinner, or for your afternoon tea, for instance, you can set that into a program. It will be saved in here, and then just for accessing it, you can then start the process automatically almost. The reason for that is you can work on a delayed timer. And with a delayed timer, you can not only choose the time and also the day that you want it to initiate that process. We have availability in a configuration where you can have a fridge turning then straight into oven. So imagine taking your items out of the fridge at night, loading it into your fridge in here, and via the timer, delay timer function, you can then ask the oven to kick in and start cooking the products you have inside the fridge in the oven it turns into, and have it ready for that service. This is always great, especially for breakfast. If you want to start reheating or cooking the items for breakfast at 5:30, for the staff member to come in at 6 o'clock, unplug the trolley, take it to the area we want to serve, plug it in, and they can serve the food safely at temperature right from where they want it to be. So on the screen, I'll go from the side and I'll work left-handed this time. So again, you can see the welcome screen coming up. You can initiate your gantry light. You can initiate your plate, your glass plate warmer, or your glass Servery warmer on the top individually. Once that's on, you can then decide if you want to do your manual cooking. Your manual cooking program is already open. You can select the temperature where you want to be. So I want to select 200 degrees for my top half of my oven. I'm happy with that. It's saving the data. Okay, my middle zone, I want to have at 140 degrees. It's saving the data. Okay, and the bottom shelf, I'll take even lower because I'm going to put my pastries in there to heat up. So I'll put it at 100 degrees. I'm happy with my 45-minute profile, and then I start. And the oven will then start the process of heating up. And when it's ready to do so, I can load it in and then ready to start cooking. Okay. Additional extra not additional extra, but in coming as a standard, supplied as standard, we also have an incorporated food core probe, which is so important in this day and time. And with the core probe, once the food is cooked, you then probe it. It goes into the system and you initial it, so they know what's been cooked and who's cooked it. And that temperature setting will then be recorded into your Hassap profile for your record keeping for later. So again, the probe is on a little socket at the side of it, which will tuck it in securely, so it's not dangling around in the food. That gets securely, and again, calibrated and absolutely accurately calibrated towards the temperature settings where you want to be. There's also a USB port at the back for you to put in your USB controller and then download any data if you are not connected to the Wi-Fi or you're not utilizing the IoT facility. To get into the more programming section, if I'm going on to automatic cooking, for instance, it's password protected. So add in a code. Now I can go into a setting for a preset program for instance, for breakfast, which I've done. And once that's selected, you can then go straight into the cooking. The unit will preheat, you load, and that's the cooking process started. There's also other features in here. As you can see, a management function, engineering function for maintenance, further controls. You can self-test it. The unit will do a self-diagnostics. You can keep the unit on standby and so forth. Also set the time and the date. So very, very involved screen, but with full controllability. And the very important thing to note is that if you want to change any of the recipes or the programs, this is enabled by a passcode for the managers to use. And that really, really is so important so that nobody tampers with any parameters that the food should be cooked at. Thank you. So that's the controller. There's so much more technology behind this, guys. I can go into that into individual sessions.
Well, that's good, Shaune. That actually obviously protects about like any unauthorized changes to the unit, etc. programs. Is it possible to have access to the trolley's information, Hassap and other, via Wi-Fi?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Kevin, but that has to be set up. So the unit comes with the modem already in, so it is Wi-Fi and IoT enabled.
Okay.
Okay.